Thanks for joining myself and, as always, my partner in crime, Veronica Boudreau, to today's ISI Analytics Office Hours. Today, we're going to be exploring the new login and user management module that is going to be released later this evening, actually, and will go live for everyone tomorrow morning. I'm super excited to demo the upcoming changes because, in my opinion, it's been a long time coming, as it will make it much easier to add users, maintain your users, update the roles, and reset passwords. It's a big step forward in giving admins more control and flexibility within ISI Analytics. Now, as always, there's going to be time for Q&A following the presentation, whether you want to ask questions regarding today's topics or anything in our application in general. So let's just do, as I always do every week, some quick housekeeping statements. First up, the chat section is disabled, so just utilize the Q&A. Veronica will be monitoring that section and will bring up anything in the moment that needs to be asked. Secondly, once the presentation is over, you'll have the ability to unmute yourself, but we ask that you utilize the hand raise function so that we can call upon people in the order that it was received. And then lastly, since we're going to be recording the presentation only, once done, I'm going to turn off the session and you can ask questions unrecorded for your comfort. So as always, thank you so much for being here, and let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, what I want to actually show you before we jump into the application is that come tomorrow, the URLs that you currently may be using to log in are going to change. Now you can still go to those URLs, but it will redirect you to our new application. And I know I've been talking about this new URL for a couple of months now to get into the new application, which is at app.isianalytics. But currently, if you are utilizing clientlogin.isi-info.com or cloud.isi-info.com to log into the platform, whichever one you are currently using, it will redirect you to log into the new application. Okay. Now, there is going to be some maintenance on users who might have what we consider like legacy logins. They may be a SQL login or a login that doesn't work, that is not using an email address. Those are pretty old customers. There will be a process during the first login that if you don't have an updated login, it will walk you through the steps to do so. I'm not going to cover that here because it should just be one and done, and then you're done. I really want to talk about how to maintain the logins moving forward. So if you do have any experience issues with like your logins, come tomorrow, you're not able to log in the product, put in a support ticket. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to our platform. Oh, wrong page of what I wanted to start with, of the app.isianalytics.com. This is the page that you'll land on, and this is where you'll log in. If you typically log in using a client ID, like in the way that you log in is that you have to put in your client ID or customer ID in first, you'll just click that icon down here and plug in your customer ID, username, or password. If you just primarily use an email address, that stays the same. You'll go ahead and plug that in, okay? Now, once you have logged in, so this really only applies for admins within the system, okay? The admins of the systems are the only ones that are going to have the capability of seeing this module here under the new ISI Analytics site for users. Now, right now, it's not live for anybody else. As you'll notice, I'm in a staging website. So users is a module that will appear tomorrow for all your admins. And when you come here, you are going to see a tab with all of your users here. Now, when if they're in the process of migration to the new process, it will say pending. If you're on, like I said, a newer version of the login process, you may not need to go through that, and everyone will be listed as active. But this is going to give you a list of all of your current login users, all of the email addresses that are associated with those logins, the type of logins, whether they're active, their last login date and time, and then we've got some maintenance items. We have the ability to change their settings, like their permissions, as well as you'll notice here 3 dots to reset password, which nowadays, now in this current product, it will send an email address out to the users, as the current process right now is that you as the admin would change their password. Well, that's not necessarily the best way to do it. Now we're allowing you to just send the reset password email to the user. They'll get it, and then they can reset it through that email. You can disable a user. So if a user needs to be turned off for a minute, you can do so, and then you can re-enable them at any time. And then if you no longer need these users, you can delete it. Okay. What I want to do though to start out is I want to actually show you how to add a new user. So we're going to push the plus symbol here in the upper right-hand corner. And let's go ahead and just add some at Kermit the Frog. So first name, last name, email could be, the swamp at email.com. And then we get to the user type. If you provide this person admin rights, that just unlocks everything within the product for this user, including the ability to create or maintain the users in administration. If you do not need to give them access like that, and you need to specify what you want them to have access to, you will then click user. You'll notice some options here will show up on the right. This is going to be mostly all of the standard permissions for our classic products. So you're thinking about Infratel Classic, as well as UCCX contact center permissions and our Q Analytics portions, which are going to be in the new application, whether you're Microsoft Teams or soon to be WebEx Q Analytics. Okay, so for example, as a reason why you might say, and you'll see here we've got a couple of roles for standard, you may give no access to classic product, and you may only give access to the Q product if you even have it. If you do not have Q Analytics or UCCX, these options won't show up because you're not licensed for it, so they wouldn't be presented. This will only show up if your licensing has either UCCX or Q permissions or Q as a part of your license. Okay, but for the majority of people, I would say a lot of people have standard permissions. So let's go through this standard product and the permissions. Now, I looked at this and I talked to engineering and I was like, I like this, but it doesn't really explain to me what these accesses, what these permissions stand for. What is the difference between full access and elevated versus what do they get with standard? And so what I would recommend to you at this point is check out our help section, because they have made some new articles in the help section under admin and users. And then what I would probably direct you to is adding a user. So if you scroll through this, you'll see what it gives you information, and then it gives to a permissions portion of the help section, and it talks about standard permissions. So we'll click on this link, go to standard permissions, and it does break down the difference between no access, full access, elevated, standard, and custom. So no access, the user has no access to your standard data. Now the thing when it comes to standard data is I'm like, what is standard data? And so standard data refers to traditional call records captured from the organization's call server, providing call activity details such as date, time, duration, phone number, along with call accounting functionality. So that's what standard data stands for. So if we go from no access, the highest level would be full access. So the user can administer and report on all standard data, okay? So they're gonna have full access to every kind of what I would consider module in the product. The only difference between full access and, if we go back to this, and admin is that a user does not have access to create other users. So you would give, if you gave them user access, so they can't maintain users, but you gave them full access, they're going to have full access to all the capabilities within Classic without being able to add new users. Okay. Elevated, a user can create their own dashboard, reports, traffic analysis, and can use call expiration to access assigned standard data. Elevated users can also set default widgets and administer all reports in their tenant. So this gives them kind of a, I would say this is almost like a report admin versus full access. This would be like a report admin because they can go into other people's reports and make changes. And then a standard user can just create their own dashboards and reports and can use call expiration. They have no admin permissions. And that would be for the standard report user, not admin. And then the last feature is going to be custom. And I'm actually going to go into the custom because then you can pretty much showcase what you can do. So look, if you click full access, it just gives you full access. If you do elevated, it gives you access. It also asks you what kind of data you want. I'll talk about that in a moment. For now, let's go to custom. Okay. When you select custom, the thing that pops up is actually a tab here in the upper left-hand corner. Clicking on custom role is going to allow you to hand select the different things that you may want a user to have access to. Dashboards are given, and do you want them to be a user or administrator of dashboards? Because dashboards can set default widgets for a new user and stuff like that. Reporting portion of the product. Do you want to give them user access or the admin access to be able to modify other people's reports? Same with call expiration. Do you want to give them user or admin rights as well? You'll notice here that there are little I symbols, information symbols that let you know kind of what the different modules are set. And again, there's going to be an article in there talking a little bit more about some of the different administration items, okay? And then if you want to give this user traffic analysis reporting options, same with alarms. Do you want to give them no access or viewer access or be able to create alarms? Connector access, which is connectors are connectors to like Microsoft Teams and UCCM or CUCM. Viewer or admin, if you want them to just be able to view the connectors but not administer them. Same with directory. We do directory imports. Do you want them just to be able to view the directory, or do you want them to be able to do directory imports, as well as some of our other classic modules like extension locations, phone number IDs, trunking gateway inventory? This is where you're going to be able to customize those particular roles, okay? And that's all under custom role, okay? When it comes to data access, in the product, you can, and you'll notice that if I do turn on specific data instead of all data, it does bring another tab up. You're going to be able to say, all right, this Kermit the Frog is only going to be able to do specific things. Say like specific organization structure. I really only want this individual to go in and say, I want private bankers as the only directory entry that I want this person to have access to, or you can create more. You can give them private bankers across the different branches and stuff like that. You can specify within your organization who you want them to have access to. And if you want to go as granular as a person, you can do so. Keep in mind, if you do check mark this and you have a large directory, it may take some time. And I believe my directory is a little large, so I'm not going to enable that. They're going to work on improving that so it goes a little faster. But you can specify the organization. You can also specify which data sources they may have. So if you have multiple data sources, you can be like, I just want them to Cisco clusters, nothing else. And then if you are utilizing specific report menus in our product, you can also say, I want them to also have access to these report menus or not. So that's the data access portion of the product. And that comes under standard permissions. If you are utilizing the contact center permissions, you can also grant them whether no access, you can give them manager access and you say which queues you want them to have access to and to be able to view. You can give them just a user access, which means they can look at the contact center dashboards, or you can give them reports and they're going to be able to run the reports. I believe the manager access, if I'm gonna double check my work here. I want to say, let's go to the contact center permissions. The manager has access to the contact center dashboards. They can set up thresholds for widgets. I want to say user reports. Gives user access to just the report space. I want to say manager has access both the dashboard and the reports. I'm going to double check that. I'm surprised I didn't notice that before, because I believe this is one, this is the other, and this is both. And so I'll have to confirm on that. And I apologize for not knowing that. But you'll be able to select which role you want them to have, and then as well as which queues you want them to run. Okay. And the same that goes with queue permissions. And I know I've covered this in a previous office hours. You have the ability to select whether you want to give them full access to all of the queues within the product, and or if you want to give them manager access, which allows you to say, all right, I do want them to be able to set some settings for their different queues in the product, but I don't want them to have access to everything. You specify which queues. And then if you give them agent access, again, you are specifying which queues they have access to, but they don't have any admin capabilities to make changes to those queues. Okay. Once you have created your access to the product, you can go ahead and save this. It will send an email address out to the individual. So here's that you log in. It tells you that they're a user and that they have never logged in. And again, you can edit this particular user to make any changes. Going back to this user, you can reset their password. You can disable their user, or you can delete it. Okay. What am I? Oh, once the user is, the other thing that's launching tomorrow, which I think is very nice as well, is that once a user logs in, they will have the ability to reset their password, which is now in the menu, but also you can set the default dashboard type. So this allows you to say, listen, I know that you're going to direct us to the new application, and it's nice, but I'm used to using the classic application, and that's where all of my reporting and my dashboards currently live. I'd like to go there, and that's fine. You can actually set your default dashboard. So now you can say, all right, I want it to go to the standard dashboard is the new one. So you're going to launch into the analytics application as well as the new dashboard. So that would be standard. Queue dashboards would be, listen, we're going to, if we have the queue products, I want to go straight to the queue dashboards. Or if you want to go to classic dashboard, it will redirect you to classic. Okay. And so you can set that as your default. And as a reminder, and let me log in. No, I can't log in. When you go to Classic, in order to get back to the new application, you'll just select Dashboards, and it'll give you an option to say New Dashboards or Classic Dashboards. And so you can select which one you want to come back to. The other thing that will happen, the one thing I do want to talk about with users is that if you do end up deciding that you want to delete a user, there is going to be a pop-up that asks you some questions. So are you sure you want to delete this individual? It cannot be undone. And oops, I did not mean to do that. Delete user. It's going to tell you how many report templates they have, how many templates are scheduled, how many classic reports are there, and how many scheduled classic. So these are all the new engine. This is classic engine. So it's going to tell you if they have any reports that have been built out. So if that's the case, and I believe that will be something that we're going to change, there'll be an update to this later, either this month or next month. There's going to be an option to reassign those reports to another user within the system before deleting. And then in order to delete this user, you'll type in delete into the engine, and it will remove that user.